are live. Let's make sure. Let's make sure. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. 1 second. Come on now. Let's see. All right. We are live. We are live on the YouTubes. Let's make sure we're live on the X. Are we live on the X? Let's make sure. Let's make sure we are. Let's make sure we are. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. There we go. Let's make sure we are live. All right. There we go. Hold on. All right. Night Road, good morning, man. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you're doing well. He says, good morning, Doubles. Good morning. Night Road, good morning. Hope you're doing well, Night. Hope you're doing well. Hope you are doing well. All right. We're live on X. We're live on Twitch. Good, good, good. Make sure everything's okay. Everything's copacetic. All right. Hold on 1 second. Bobo Beeb says, howdy, howdy, Bobo. You hear me, Lima Charlie? Copy that, Bobo. Thank you very much. Good, good. The comms are coming through. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday right now. Happy Friday. All right. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get a drink real quick. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Just getting all the announcements out and ready to go. 1 second. 1 second. All right. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Boom. All right. All right. All right. There we go. There we are. Boom. Getting all the announcements out. Getting all the announcements out and ready to go. All right. There we are. Boom. Right there. All right. All right. Let's get this over here. Okay. Get this out over here. Let's get the announcements out on social media. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. Let's take a look over here. All right. Let's get the announcements out over here. Okay. There we are. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Hold on 1 second. All right. Top Successes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Top Success. Good morning, brother. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Hope you're having a fantastic day today, man. All right. Let me get this over here. Bob right there. All right. There we are. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let's see here. Get everything all set out here. Boom. All right. All right, we're good. All right. Let's get this intro started, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it started. What's up, guys? It's Double Nicks, and welcome to another episode of Microcap Mornings. I am your host with the most. They call me DBL Nicks in the house, aka the Rainmaker. I am here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets shot out the cannon and she goes, wee! Other times she likes to go to RBs and watch videos of puppies and kitties. Other times she likes to go into the stock market and find all sorts of stocks with A, B, C, Ds. She recently did call some stocks like CRE, IBG, and TURB. We call her DBM Moms. All right, so that's what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we got going on. And ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, the link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We were just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we got going on. That's what we got going on. So, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. All right. Let me just put these in here, and then we will get started real quick. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, put in the chat what stonks you want me to take a look at. If you got any stonks you want me to take a look at, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. All right. So, yeah, Tom Price, good morning. He said, how are people still even risking it with TPET? Yeah. Hey, look, I don't know. I don't know personally. They're just there. The stonks that we saw. Oh boy. Hey, look, TPET was among them. I'm like, wow, okay. I don't know either, brother. Don't know. All right. Top Success says TPET may have potential today. Well, we'll see. We shall see. We shall see, Top Success. We shall see. It did have some movement. It did have some movement. It has been a multi-day runner. There were some little things that came out about it. So, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. SKC says, morning. How do we think TPET is looking? We will take a look. We will take a look. We will definitely take a look. Give me 1 second though. Just want to make sure I got all this info over here. Bop, right there. Yes, sir. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So let's get everything started over here. So let's take a look at the requests here. So we got TPET. Let's take a look. Let's see how TPET is doing. TPET. So Trio Petroleum Corp. Now this is a petroleum company. So, as far as we know, due to geopolitical stuff going on, It has had some movement for the past week due to the geopolitical tensions going on in the Middle East. It is basically an oil stock. So you got that going on right there. It did pull back quite a bit yesterday. All right, it did pull back quite a bit yesterday, but as of now, it basically showed a bit more consolidation above the VWAP, if anything. So as of now, TPET, as of now, has, for the day, here's the low. All right, here is the high right here. Bop, right there. Let me get this over here. Bop, there we go. All right, so TPET as of now has been holding above the $2.09 mark right over here and needs to break above the 225 for it to really be schmexy to me. But as far as we know, it is basically consolidated, really. It's kind of consolidated between 209 and 225. It was consolidated at one point along the VWAP, then curled up above the VWAP, and then kind of just made a bit of a dip and then climbed back up above the VWAP and then pulled back down a little bit more over here. So as of now, for me, it looks like it has a bit of a pennant forming right over here. Let me change this up over here. Let me change this up. Bop, right here, right there. All right. And, oops, excuse me. There we go. Let me get rid of this. Bop, right there. All right. So as of now, TPET has a bit of a pennant going on right over here. A little bit of a pennant going on right here. Has to break above this pennant and has to break above the 225 mark as well and stay above the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. But as of now, that is basically what we have going on. So TPET, 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 TPET needs to break above the pennant and the high of day. So we got that going on, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on. So TPET, as of now, needs to break above the high of day, needs to break above that pennant as well for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to the first 100. So let's get that going on right there. Let's get it. Come on now. All right. So as of now, that's what we got going on. That is what we have going on. So right now, TPET needs to break above that pennant, needs to break above that high a day at 225 for it to really be schmexy to me. Let me actually make the font a little bit bigger for this. Little bit bigger. There we go. Beautiful. All right. So, yeah, that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. Let's take a look and see what we got going on here. Somebody requested BHAT. BHAT. Let's take a look at BHAT. All right. So, as of now for BHAT, Blue Hat Interactive Entertainment Technology. Let's take a look at the float for the stock. The float is 68.9 million. Volume is 86 million. So it does have the volume. It does have some volume going on for it, allegedly, And as of now, it does have news that came out on the 6th that Blue Hat Interactive Entertainment Technology announced a share repurchase program. So they got that going on right there. That is what they got going on. However, it is very, very consolidated, and it is very, very flat. I mean flat. As in, it's very much so just consolidated along the VWAP. So it's going to need a lot of volume, and I mean a lot of volume for it to even be remotely schmexy, because it is like you could zoom in on it, and it is not moving. So as of now, BHAT, very heavy float. The volume is a little bit higher than the float, but as of now, that's not really enough. That's not really enough for this stonk right here. It is fully oversold in the RSI. So you got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. BHAT needs a lot of volume. Hold on 1 second. Needs a lot of volume. Very choppy and consolidated along the VWAPA, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 100, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. Let's get it. Come on. All right. Yep. So BHAT's got that going on right there. That's what they got going on. That is what they got going on. Let's take a look at BATL. BATL. As of now, BATL had a bit of a climb. Hold on 1 second. Let me just get this over here. Bot right there. All right. And then formed a bit of a pennant right over here. Bop right there. Needs to break above the VWAP right over here at the 25.22 mark. And needs to break above the pennant as well for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. Because right now, not looking too schmexy right here. Has to break above this pennant. Has to break above the VWAP as well for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Is a little bit heavy. Is a little bit heavy in terms of price. So we'll see what goes on there in terms of float. The stock is 4 million. Volume is 5 million. So we got that going on right there. Was at one point a bit overbought on the RSI, but since pulled back and is now pretty much indifferent on the RSI. So we got that going on as well. Has to break above that VWAP. Has to break above that pennant. All right, so it has to do both of those things right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. VWAP is currently at 25.22, and yeah, that's what we got going on. BHAT, or excuse me, BATL. All right, and this is an oil stock, so you know how it is with that geopolitical stuff. We basically got some, news for that right there. So BATL needs to break the VWAPA and the pennant for it to be so much Mexi to Mya. So that's what we got going on for BATL. BATL. Let's take a look over here. Bop right there. All right. So, yeah, that's what we have going on. That is what we have going on. All right. Okay, so yeah, let's take a look at some other stocks right here. All right, and we are, ladies and gentlemen, right at the 100 mark. Let's make it to 200. Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 200. All right, let's take a look at PRSO. Now PRSO, we actually called that stock earlier. It's now a bagger, ladies and gentlemen. PRSO, new bagger, because we called the stock early in the morning on our private Discord. PRSO called it on our private Discord. New bagger, now up 107%. That's how high it went right there. Yep. Yes. All right. All right. There we are. All right. So, yes, as of now, we have PRSO. Do I have a pen? Can I get a little Penske? Penske. Pen. Pain. Gimme. Yes. Pen. 107. New pain. Yes, new pain. Who this? All right. So, as of now, there we go. That's what we got going on. PRSO. New bagger, ladies and gentlemen. New bagger. Yes, sir. Also, ladies and gentlemen, we did call RITR, which ran up a nice 41% today. So we got that going on right there. RITR called that one. It ran up a nice 41% so far. So we got that going on right there. Keeping an eye on that right there as well. RITR. All right, let's take a look at RITR right here. RITR. All right, RITR. Let's take a look. Let's refresh this right here. Bop right there. Come on now. All right, there we go. Currently, this stock is currently moving its way on up over here. Bop right there, and bop right there. So that's what we got going on right here. RTR needs to break the pennant and stay above the VWAPA. But yes, that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there. So RITR, called this one earlier in the morning. And it looks like it needs to break that pennant right there for it to be so much maxi tumya. There we go. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Let's take a look at some other stocks here. Let's take a look at. All right, let's see here. We called CRE this morning. Called CRE. CRE called it this morning on our private Discord, and it ran up 213%. That was the high of day for it. 213%. We called CRE this morning on our private Discord prior to it running up 213%. All right. And of course, all right, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, and the early bird gets the cash. All right. So, yeesh. All right, there we go. So yeah, we called CRE prior to that 213% run. 213% run right there. Bop right there. All right. We called IBG as well. IBG ran up a nice 81%. 81% right there. So we got that going on right there. All right. Let's see here. We got also TURB. All right. And that one ran up 64%. 64%. TURB ran up 64%. We got BATL. That one ran up 40% right there. We called BATL. Ran up 40% for us. 40%. Percenta. All right. We called TPET. TPET a while ago as well. And we actually did a recap video of that one last night. All right. TPET ran up a nice 38%. 38%. All right. And then obviously we called PRSO prior to that 107% run right there. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right. All right. So we got those going on right there. All right. So as of now, that's what we got going on over there. That's what we got going on right now. So, yes, that's what we got going on. All right. Let's take a look at CRE now. CRE did have a nice run up 213%. 213%. All right. So we got that going on right there. Now it currently had a bit of a downtrend since then after that nice high run. All right. It has support over here on the $3.87 mark. Has to break above 489, 561, 544, which is where the VWAP is, then 561, 633, 721, and 865 for it to be so much maxi tumya. So as of now, has to do that. Has to break above the downtrend as well as the VWAP right here. Has to break above both things here for it to be so much maxi to me. So CRE has to break above the downtrend and the VWAP for it to be so much maxi tumya. That's what it has to do right there. There we go. There we go. All right. Boom. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 300. 300. All right. Let's take a look and see what else we got over here. Let's take a look at TURB. Let's take a look at that right now. Marty, good morning. Good morning, Marty. How you doing, brother? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just get some water real quick. But yes, good morning, Marty. Good morning. Hold on. All right. So we got that going on right there. Let's take a look at TURB. All right. So as of now, TURB is in a bit of a pennant right now. Has to break above not just the pennant, has to break above the VWAP as well for it to be schmexy to me. So TURB as of now, TURB needs to break above the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. There we go. There we go. All right. So that's what we got going on there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. There we go. All right. So, yeesh. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. What else we got? Let's see here. RITR. RITR. Let's take a look at RITR. Still has to break that pennant right there. RITR. Still needs to break the pennant. There we go. Let's take a look at PRSO. PRSO. All right. Now, PRSO shares are trading higher after the company announced Intact selected its 60 gigahertz millimeter wave technology for a new drone identification friend or foe system. I'm guessing this also has to do with that geopolitical stuff going on in the Middle East as well. So it is it's an Israeli company. Oh yeah, so it definitely has something to do with that. So yeah, it's basically got something to do with the whole friend or foe system going on there, the Middle Eastern things going on there, the conflict in the Middle East that we got going on. So yeah, that's yeah, there we go. It also has some Q4 earnings that are unconfirmed for in 12 days from now on Wednesday, March 18th after the market closes. So you got that going on as well. That is something you got going on right there. Also, ladies and gentlemen, it has a bit of a pennant going on right here. A little bit of a pennant right there. And then it curled its way on up right over here. So we got that going on as well. That is something we got going on right there. Curling off the pennant PRSO. Curling off the pennant right there. All right. It is moving above the VWAP and is curling off that pennant. So PRSO curling off the pennant. And yeah, looking good, ladies and gentlemen. Looking good right there. So we got that going on. That is what we got going on. All right. Let's see here. All right. Now, let's take a look at TURB again. TURB trying to curl off the pennant right there. TURB trying to curl off the pennant. TURB trying to curl off the pennant. All right. And top success says TPET trying a bit. Let's take a look and see how TPET's doing. TPET. TPET trying a little bit right there. It did try a little bit. It did poke above the pennant a little bit. So you got that going on right there. TPET did poke above the pennant a little bit. TPET poked above the pennant slightly. Can it curl? Let's see. We shall see. We shall see, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see. Yeesh. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. All right. There we are. All right. All right. There we go. Okay. So we got that going on right there. Let's take a look at another stunk here. Let's take a look at INDO. INDO, how's INDO looking right now? This is Indonesia Energy Corporation Limited Ordinary Shares. We did take a look at this one. This one popped up a couple of times yesterday, and we'll see what it does today. But right now, it looks like it is still in that pennant right there. It's just above the VWAP. Has to break above the pennant for it to really be schmexy to me. So, as of now, INDO needs to break above the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. All right, needs to break above that pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what it has to do right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get the 400, 400, 400, 400. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Let's see what else we have here. All right. Let's see. All right. let's take a look and see how Justin asked for STAK. STAK. Let's take a look at Stack, see how it's doing. All right, so Stack did have a little bit of chop as of recently, a little bit of chop going on it. All right, so you got choppiness here. Oh, hold on, let me make this a bit bigger. Boom, there we go. A little bit of chop over here as well. Chop over here, chop over here, chop over there. And yeah, as of now, has been falling downward as of now. Has to break above this downtrend as well as the VWAP for it to be so much maxi to me. It needs some volume as well. Let's take a look at the float for this stock. Float is 810,000. Volume is 2.1 million. So it does have some volume to it. I'll give it that. But it needs a bit more volume to really break that downtrend going on right there. So yeah, that's what it's got going on. STAK also hasn't come out with any news since January 8th, so it doesn't have any real catalyst, so we got that going on right there. So STAK, as of now, STAK needs to break the downtrend and the VWAPA for it to be somewhat maxi to mya. There we go. Yes, sir. All right. So we got that going on. That is what we got going on. Let's take a look at another stock over here. Let's take a look at IBG. Now, IBG had a high of 81%. 81% as of now has since gone downward over here. So it has to break above that downtrend, has to break above the VWAP. So it's got those things going on for it right there. All right, so IBG needs to break the downtrend and the VWAPA right there. So it has to do that right there for it to be so much maxi to me. Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 500. All right. Let's see here. All right. So let's see. Michael Shank says, did we already talk about TURB? We did, but we could talk about it again. All right, let's go back to TURB. Now, TURB, as of now, for me, has pretty much been pulling back quite a bit. Now, it's Turbo Energy, and it's an American depository share, so it's got that going on right there. But it is obviously an energy company, but it looks like it's pulling back quite a bit. So, as of now, let's take a look at TURB's float. The float is 1 million. Volume is 6 million. However, not a lot of shares seem to be going for it right now. It seems like it's pulling back quite a bit. And Michael Shank says, sorry, I missed it. No, don't worries at all, Mike. Man, hey, don't worry about it, brother. We can do it as many times as you like, okay? All right. TURB, as of now, basically had a bit of a panic going on over here, fell below the VWAP. It went from here all the way down, had a little bit of a curl back upward, broke above the VWAP, which is at 446 as of now, and then shot back down a little bit more and basically made this pennant right here. So as of now, it has to break this pennant because it was consolidated over here. All right, has to break this consolidation and the pennant, and then has to basically try to curl above 446 for it to be remotely schmexy to me. As of now, it's not overbought or oversold in the RSI, but we got that going on right there. As far as this goes, me personally, I'm probably going to wait and see what happens with it, but it's one of those stocks that it has run multi-day, so it's not exactly ideal to me personally. Now, can it go up? Can things change? Of course, anything's possible, and but in my opinion, it's already had its time in the sun quite a bit. It's going to need like a lot of volume for it to really curl up and try to break this. Right now, it's trying to break the pennant right now, so it's got that going on right there. Michael Shanks says scalp ideas. As of now, I cannot actually give stuff like that. I can't give stuff like that at all. So, yeah, no, I'm not a stock advisor, so cannot do that stuff. But as of now, it is one of those stocks that I can give you a support and resistance line, a series of support and resistance lines right over here. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Right there. All right, so as of now, you got support at the $3.90 line over here. Resistance at 419. After that, you got resistance at 446, which is where the VWAP is. 449, 485, and then 545. Those are all resistance lines right over here. So everything above this little green line right here upward is just straight up resistance. All right. So as of now, it's just resistance right now. It's got a lot of resistance points it has to break. It's trying to peak above the pennant right now. It looks like it's trying to peak above the pennant a little bit. So we'll see what happens with it. TURB, TURB, trying to peak above the pennant. Needs volume to break the VWAPA. There we go. That's what it's got going on. Michael Shank says, thank you, sir. Of course, brother. Of course. Anytime. Anytime. Our pleasure. Our pleasure. All right, let's get a share party going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get to 600. 600, 600, 600. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Okay, okay, okay. Yes. All right, all right, all right. Let's take a look and see what other stocks we got over here. Let's take a look and see what other stocks we have. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right. Boom. Right there. All right. Somebody did request EONR. We're going to take a look at EONR real quick. EONR. All right. So as of now, EONR has a bit of a kind of awkward ABCD, a little bit of an awkward ABCD pattern going on over here that led into a bit of a pennant right over here that has to break above the VWAP and break above the pennant for it to be so much mexy to me. Currently, it is 72 cents. Needs to break above that pennant in the VWAP for it to be so much mexy to me. Eric, good morning, brother. He says, good morning, GOAT. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday today, man. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. EONR did have some consolidation. ABCD pattern into a pennant right here and has to break above this VWAP and the pennant for it to be so much mexy to me. But as of now, EONR needs some serious volume for it to do that. EONR needs to break the pennant and the VWAPA. There we go. Yes, sir. That's what it needs to do right there. That is what it needs to do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's see what we got going on. Let's see here. Hold on. So I'm like reading between the requests and the stocks here. Let's take a look at PRSO. PRSO. All right, 1 sec. There we go. All right, PRSO looking a bit better. It's looking a bit better, but pulling back a little bit. Needs to remain friends with the trend, PRSO. It has news that PRSO shares are trading higher after the company announced Intact selected its 60 gigahertz millimeter wave technology for a new drone identification friend or foe system. Again, this is an Israeli company, and to top it off, it has something to do with the geopolitical events that are currently going on in the world. So we got that going on. PRSO has to remain friends with the trend for it to be so much schmexy to me. PRSO needs to remain friends with the trend right there for it to be so much schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. PRSO. PRSO. All right. Let's take a look over here. Justin Souders asked for OLOX. OLOX. All right, let's take a look at OLOX. Let's take a look at LLOX. OLOX. All right, so Olinox Industries, Inc. All right, let's take a look over here. First things first, what I already noticed right off the bat, we have chop over here, 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 and a lot of chop over here. All right, a lot of choppiness going on here. It was above the VWAP, though. I'll give it credit where credit's due. It was above the VWAP, not overbought or oversold in the RSI. However, it does look like it needs volume. Let's take a look at the float. Float is 5 million in change. 5.8 million, call it 6 million. Volume is 953,000. So as of now, the volume is a lot lower than the float. So you got that going on. Let's take a look and see if it has any catalysts. Something came out on March 4th that they shared positive field reports as production stabilized. But other than that, they had something else as well, announcing their 2026 drilling plan and kicked off 2026 with the 10-well drilling program and stuff like that. But as of now, nothing really substantial in terms of news for the stock. So as of now, it really needs a lot of volume. Very, very choppy. Needs a lot of volume as of now and needs to stay above that VWAP and try to break through any consolidation that develops, which it looks like it's trying to develop some consolidation right around here with these two lines, with these two little candles. So we'll see what happens. So OLOX needs volume to needs volume. Very choppy as of now. And needs to stay above the VWAPA. There we go. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. What's up? BATL? All right. Up. Gavilan asks for IVDA, India Victor Delta Alpha. All right. Let's take a look at IVDA, and then we will take a look at BATL over there. IVDA as of now. Let's take a look over here. Let's get a share party going as well. Let's get to 800. 800. Come on now. All right. A lot of chop going on over here. A lot of chop. Real smooth. All right. It's got some choppiness right around here. All right, you see a lot of these indecisive wicks. That means there's not a lot of volume going on through the stock right here. Is below the VWAP as well. At some points it did pop above it, but again, indecisive wicks. So it tends to be very, very choppy with terms of price. It tends to be sporadic. So as of now, it's not really a trustworthy stock in my opinion. It's currently down 5%. Let's take a look and see if there's any news here. And also let's take a look at the float. Float is 11 million and change. Volume is 7,000. So the volume as of now is not that high. Float is a lot higher. So that's like a supply and demand thing. Basically, there's way more supply than there is demand, right? So you got that going on. IVDA had shares to their beneficial ownership changed. So they got that going on right there. They did have some changes to their beneficial ownership, and that was February 25th. So there's no real news as far as there is in terms of the stock. So the stock needs news, it needs a catalyst, as well as the fact that it really needs some volume. So IVDA, as of now, needs some serious volume for it to be so much Mexi Tumia. Very choppy as of now. IVDA, very choppy. Very choppy. Needs volume to become somewhat schmexy to me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as of now, it needs some serious volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. Let's take a look at PRSO. PRSO. Let's see how PRSO is holding up. PRSO. All right, PRSO now on an uptrend, curled upward some more, and is now remaining friends with the trend. Again, this looks to be a drone creating company that's going up on the news of the geopolitical tensions that are currently going on there. It is currently up, hit a new high of 120%. We called the stock earlier in the morning, and it ran up a nice 120% right there. So now 130% right there. 130% PRSO broke the high of day and shot up to 130% right there. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Boom. There we go. Gavilan says spot on. Thank you. Of course. Our pleasure, man. Of course. Of course. PRSO needs volume to continue to climb, and it's looking pretty schmexy to me. You know what I mean? Looking pretty schmexy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, yeah, that's what we got going on right there. Let's take a look and see what other stocks we got going on. PRSO, keeping an eye on it right there because it is moving up nicely. Keep an eye on the DBO moms. Let me know if it moves more. All right. Yes, sir. All right. So as of now, let's get a support and resistance line on PRSO right here. Support and resistance. So we see what it needs to break right here. Has to also break this teeny tiny double top of 186. All right, so it's got that going on right there. It needs to break that teeny tiny double top at 186 for it to be so much maxy to me. So we got that going on as well. So PRSO needs to break that double top. Let's continue. In the meantime, let's take a look and see about. All right, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Let me take a look at the requests here. Ooh, okay. All right, let's see here. All right. MobX. Let's take a look at MobX and see how MobX is doing right there. MobX needs some. Let's take a look and see, because MobX did have some running yesterday. It did have some movement yesterday. So let's see what it's doing right now. So MobX currently, as of now, number one, had doesn't look like it's moving as strong as it was, say, yesterday. All right, that's number one. So let's take a look over here. Had a bit of a double top at the $1.04 mark over there, pulled back quite a bit, and then basically just shot up like a rocket over here. Well, not really a rocket per se, just shot up in general. But it shot up over here, pulled back quite a bit, and now it looks like it's making a descending wedge right over here. So as of now, what it's got to do is it has to break above the descending wedge. It has to curl above that descending wedge for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. So MobX as of now, MOBX needs volume. Hold on right there. MOBX needs volume to break above the descending wedge for it to be so much maxi to Mia. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So, yeah, that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. There we are. But yeah, MobX needs to break above that descending wedge for it to be so much maxi to Mia. All right. Let's take a look and see what else we got. And if anybody has requests for us, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Also, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 900. 900. Come on now. Come on. All right. Oh, there we go. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. Looking good. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What else do we have? What else we got? Let me add them. Right here. Somebody requested UAVS. UAVS. Let's take a look at UAVS, see how it's doing. Now, this is obviously a drone play. This is what we got going on over here. And, you know, drones have been gaining a lot of popularity in the past week. So, you know, it do be like that sometimes. Yeah, a lot of that going on right there. So there's a lot of chop in the stock, though. There's a lot of chop in the stock. A lot of very tiny bits and pieces of volume over here. Not a lot of volume going on over here, which is how you get all this choppy stuff going on. All right. It did pull up a bit. It did shoot up quite a bit. So we go over here, bot right there. And then we can basically form a bit of a pennant right here. Has to break above the VWAP, which is currently at 125, and needs to break above this pennant right here for it to be so much mexy to me. Has some unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 11 days from now on to March 17th before the market opens. So yeah, that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. UAVS. UAVS needs to break above the VWAPA and the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mia. There we go. That's what we got going on for UAVS. All right. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1,000. 1,000. Let's get it. Come on now. All right. Let's see what else we got here. What are the stonks we got? Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at Actually, I'm kind of curious to see how PRSO is doing. Let's see how PRSO is doing. PRSO did have that double top going on. Pulling back slightly, a little bit slightly as of now. Needs to remain friends with the trend, though. Needs to remain friends with that trend. It looks like it's just like a slight pullback. Not a crazy one, just a slight one. Slight pullback, needs to break. Needs to stay friends with the trend, though. So PRSO, slight pullback. Needs to remain friends with the trend. Yes, sir. Has to do that for it to be so much maxi to mya. There we go. There we go. All right. So as of now, PRSO needs to remain friends with the trend right there. Needs to keep going right there. Needs to keep rolling, rolling, rolling. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. 1 second. All right. 1 second. 1 second right here. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. What else we got? All right. Let's see here. Somebody else requested OLOX again. Let's take a look over here. OLOX. OLOX. All right. Again, had quite a bit of chop. Is kind of on an uptrend right now, which is pretty good. But again, needs to stay above that VWAP, and it needs volume because it's moving on what looks to be low volume right now. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. OLOX as of now. OLOX. Needs moving up on low volume. Moving up on low volume. Needs more volume for it to be schmexy to mya. OLOX is moving up on some low volume right now. It is currently above the VWAP, so we got that going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. So we got that going on. Boom. Right there. Hold on. And let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1100. 1100, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. Let's get to 1100. All right. So now that OLOX is currently doing its thing right here, it does have a 6 million float, 1 million volume. So we'll see what goes on here. We shall see what goes on with OLOX. In the meantime, let's take a look at another stock right here. Let's take a look at another stock. Let's take a look at PRSO, see how it's doing. I think it's pulling back a little bit, so we'll see. Yes, PRSO is currently pulling back a little bit. Needs to break that double top. Needs to break the double top and the high of day. Right there for it to be so much maxi to mya. There we go. There we go. So as of now, that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. So PRSO needs to break that high a day, needs to break that double top for it to be so much maxi to mya. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's see what else we got. What else we got? DAWN. DAWN just popped in right here. Very choppy, very choppy, very choppy. Not looking schmexy to mya. DAWN. Choppy. Needs a lot of volume for it to be so much maxi to mya. Needs a lot of volume. There we go. There we go. All right. So as of now, that's what we got going on. I think PRSO is trying to curl back up a little bit. Let's see what goes on. PRSO. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's take a look at Open. Open! OPEN. Very popular meme stock there. Very popular meme stock. Now, the thing with Open is that it is currently down 3%. Down 3% as of now. Needs to break above that VWAP and needs to also break this downtrend right over here. Had a bit of a double top right over here at $5.11, and has since just gone down over here. Needs to break above the downtrend and the VWAP, and then has to break that double top right there for it to be so much Mexi to Mia. There we go. OPEN needs to break the double top, the downtrend, and the VWAP. So that's what's got going on right there. That is what it's got going on. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So let's see what else we got over here. What other stocks we got? Oops, somebody requested CRE. CRE. Let's take a look at CRE real quick. All right, CRE currently still down quite a bit. Still down quite a bit. Testing that 387 mark right there. Needs to break above 489, then 561. Actually, excuse me, 541, then 561, then 633, 721, and 865. So as of now, it needs to break those. So in order for it to be so much Mexi to Mia, but right now, it really needs to break that downtrend, needs to break that VWAP, and needs to break the resistance. So as of now, it needs to break the downtrend and the resistance. CRE needs to break the downtrend and the resistance right there for it to be so much Mexi to Mia. There we go. There we go. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1300. 1300, ladies and gentlemen. 1300, 1300, 1300. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Come on now. All right, so let's see what other stocks we got here. What other stocks we have? Somebody requested EONR. Let's see how EONR is doing. EONR. EONR, as of now, broke above the VWAP and curled off the pennant by a little bit. Still needs to break through the pennant yet again. It looks like it's testing the pennant right there. EONR broke the VWAP and is testing the pennant right now. So we'll see what goes on there. EONR broke the VWAP and is testing the pennant for it to be so much Mexi to Mia. There we go. There we go. All right. So we got that going on. That is what we got going on right there. All right. Give me 1 second. 1 second. There we are. Okay. Happy Mike. Hello, brother. Hello, hello, hello here. Let me see what you wrote real quick. All right. I think what he wrote, I don't know, my Arabic is not too good. I think he said which stock. I don't know what you mean by that. So, yeah. All right, let me take a look over here. SYNX came in. SYNX had a massive price spike just now. Massive price spike on what looks to be low volume. Volume is 3 million. Float is 989,000. So as of now, SYNX up 60% on low volume. SYNX price spike on low volume up 60%. 60% right there. So it had that going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So yeah, there we go. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. What else did we get here? What else we got? What else we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. Let's see. Let's see. Somebody requested PRSO again. PRSO. PRSO. Let's take a look. Looks like it's curling back down, testing the, but needs to stay still above that trend line over here for it to be somewhat Mexi to Mia. So as of now, PRSO needs to curl off that trend line. Needs volume to really remain friends with that trend right now. So PRSO needs volume to remain friends with the trend. Needs some volume to remain friends with the trend right there, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. There we go. Let's take a look over here. Let's take a look over here. Boom. Boom. There we go. All right. And let's take a look and see what else we got over here. What else we got? What else we got? All right. Gavillain says, sorry, but did you do TPET, brother? We did, but we'll do it again. Sure, we can do that again. Why not? I don't see why not. TPET. TPET. Again, TPET is a petroleum stock. Now, again, with these types of stocks, at least in my opinion, it's very, very iffy. And the reason being is because these stocks themselves don't have any actual news for themselves. You know what I mean? So, like, for example, TPET didn't actually do much of anything per se. Like, there was news that it did do some certain stuff. Like, for example, they filed an Amendment 3 to Prospectus Supplement on March 5th, 2026. All right. And they filed Form 8s, Form 424B5s, right? Things of that nature. All right. But it's one of those things where it's like, because there's a lot of news pertaining to oil and things of that nature, you have a situation where it becomes, how do I put it? It's news on the industry. It's very industry specific in terms of news. It's not company specific, right? So the company didn't do anything. It's more so the industry that did something. So the industry, it's moving up on industry, not the actual company itself, which makes these types of stocks kind of iffy a little bit, right? So as of now, I mean, TPET did have quite a bit of time in the sun, so it needs to break above the pennant, which it doesn't look like it's going to do right now. Has to break above this pennant, has to hold above the VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. So TPET, as of now, has to hold above the VWAP. All right, TPET has to stay above the VWAP and use and curl off the pennant for it to be somewhat schmexy to me out, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Share party, share party, share party. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1600. 1600, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you can find us on our YouTube at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. You can find us on our X.com, aka Twitter, at Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. At Coaching Money. You can find us on our Twitch at Coaching Money. At Coach Nick Money. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so we got that going on right there. That is what we have going on. All right. So, as of now, ladies and gentlemen, let's continue on. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1600. 1600. All right, and let's continue. Let's continue and see what we got going on here. All right. Let's see about... Somebody requested BRN. Let's take a look at BRN. See how BRN is doing. BRN, ooh, not looking too schmexy right now. Very, very choppy. Very choppy. Look at all this chop right here. Chop right here. All right, lot of chop right here. Chop right here. All right. Chop right over here. There. Yeah, a lot of chop everywhere here. So as of now, BRN needs a lot of volume. Needs a lot of volume. All right. And it needs a lot of volume to break through this little pennant right here and stay above the VWAP right now. So BRN needs a lot of volume. BRN, very choppy. Needs volume to break above the pennant and stay above the VWAP. There we go. So as of now, that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Woo!
5 minutes to the bell.
We got 5 minutes to the bell. The bell. It deafens me. All right. So we got that going on right there. All right. So as of now, let's take a look at another stock over here. How about let's take a look at somebody requested TMDE. Let's take a look at TMDE. Let's do it. Let's do it. Why not? TMDE. Let's take a look over here. Very consolidated. Very consolidated. Needs to break above that VWAP. Cannot do it right now for the life of it because it's very low volume. I can tell just by looking at it. You take a look over here. Float is 8 million. Volume is 1 million and change. So we got that going on right there. Very low float. Not looking schmexy there. And yeah. So as of now, TMDE needs to break above that consolidation just below the VWAP right there. All right, it's been consolidated below the VWAP. TMDE needs to break the consolidation just below the VWAP. Yes, needs to break that right there. Needs to break it for it to be somewhat schmexy to meow. There we go. There we go. All right. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. There we go. All right. Ken, welcome. He says INDO. All right. Let's take a look at INDO. INDO. Let's take a look over here. So INDO, we did make a pennant for this earlier. It's still within the pennant. It is trying to peak up though. So it is trying to peak above that pennant right there. Needs some more volume, but it is trying to peak above the pennant right there. So INDO trying to peak above the pennant for it to be so much maxi to me. Needs volume, needs more volume, ladies and gentlemen. Needs more volume for it to be so much schmexy to me. All right. All right. So as of now, INDO. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. Yeah. Needs to break above that pennant and needs more volume to do so. It did peak above it a little bit, but other than that, needs more stiff. It needs more stiff to do right there. All right, let's take a look and see what other stocks we got going on. What other stocks we got going on? Somebody requested MobX again. Let's take a look at MobX, MOBX. See how it's doing. Not looking too schmexy as of now. Needs to break a pennant right here. MobX needs to break the pennant and needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much schmexy to me. MobX, MOBX needs to break the pennant and the VWAP for it to be so much schmexy to me. All right. So as of now, MobX needs to break above the pennant and needs to break above that VWAP right there for it to be so much schmexy to me. There we go. There we go. All right. So, yes. As of now, we got that. Oh, yes. 1 minute to the bell. The bell. It deafens me. Okay. SYNX. Let's see how SYNX is doing. SYNX. Let's see how SYNX is doing. All right. SYNX has formed a bit of a double top right over here. Needs to stay friends with the trend, though. SYNX needs to break above the double top and remain friends with the trend. SYNX needs to break above the double top and remain friends with the trend. All right, so as of now, let's see what else we got here. All right, let's see. Currently, it's down 2%. No. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Ooh, let me fix something real quick. I accidentally mistyped. 1 sec. 1 sec right there. And there we go. Right there. SYNX, not SYUNX. There we go. All right. Yes. The bell. The bell. It deafens me. It made the ringy dingy. It made the wee woo. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's take a look over here. Let's take a look over here. A Toop asks for BHAT. All right, let's take a look at BHAT. BHAT. Let's take a look at BHAT. All right, so BHAT as of now, Blue Hat Interactive Entertainment Technology. All right, now these are ordinary shares and all that good stuff. All right, so as of now, with this stock, it did originally at the time shoot up right here, right? Hit a bit of a pennant right here, and then proceeded to kind of curl off the pennant and break the VWAP. All right, so it did do that. All right. Oh, TPET is moving. Okay. All right. So as of now, BHAT curling off the pennant right there needs volume though. So yes, BHAT's done that. BHAT curled off the pennant and broke the VWAPA. Now let's take a look at TPET. TPET, see how it's doing. What's it doing? Oh my! Massive price spike on TPET. Broke the high a day. Wow. We're up 44% with it. Okay. All right. Wow. All right. All right. All right. Yeah. Wow. All right. So TPET, TPET price spike off the pennant. TPET price spike off the pennant. Broke the high of day. There we go. That's what we got going on right there. TPET price spike off the pennant, broke that high a day. Nice, nice. There we go. There we go. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 2,000. 2,000, ladies and gentlemen. 2,000, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right. All right. Let's see. What other stocks we got going on? Alex Martinez says TMDE moving up 16% on it. All right, let's take a look at TMDE. Keep an eye on TPET while I do that right there. All right, all right, all right. So let's see what else we got. What else we got going on here? All right, hold on. All right, so TMDE. TMDE. Let's take a look over here. TMDE broke the consolidation and broke the VWAP, up 20% as of now. Broke the consolidation in the VWAP. That's good. Curled up 21%. So that's really good. That is really good right now. So TMDE broke the consolidation and the VWAPA. Price spike up 20%. So we got that going on right there. Looks like it is pulling back a little bit though, so got to keep an eye on that. But it does look like it did its thing there. It does look like it tried to do its thing right there. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 2100. 2100, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. All right. Let me get a drink of water real quick. Let me get a drink of water. Ooh, that's the stuff right there. That's the stuff right there. All right. Let's see what else we got over here. What else we got? Let's see. Let's see. Eh? Someone requested BATL again. BATL as of now. Again, oil company. So it did have a nice little A to B, B to C, C to D. Then formed a bit of a double top though, and starting to fall back down a little bit. So it had a massive price spike and then pulled back down to 26.85 right here. So we got the price spike at 28.64, pulling back down. BATL had an ABCD pattern. Again, like I said before, this is more industry specific news, not the company itself. So it doesn't exactly have a real catalyst other than the industry. You know what I mean? So it's got that going on. So BATL had an ABCD pattern, hit a double top, needs volume to curl up and break it. Otherwise, because that's what we got going on with BATL right now. BATL needs some more volume. PRSO, how's PRSO holding up? PRSO, let's see how it's doing. You know what? It fell below the VWAPA. And yeah, needs to break the pennant right here. And it looks like it's trying to curl off this pennant right now. Looks like it's trying to curl off the pennant a little bit. Trying to break the pennant right now. PRSO trying to break above the pennant. Needs more volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. All right. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. Boom, right there. There we go. All right. So yes, Alex, I hope you're making a nice profit off of TMDE. All right, let's see what else we got. What other stocks do we have here? All right, somebody requested PRSO again, and yeah, nope, needs to break above that resistance line as of now. Needs to break above the resistance line. So PRSO needs to break above the resistance line for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. All right. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Oh, TPET is moving, huh? All right. Let's see what it's got. Going on. TPET. Let's see how it's doing. All right. Still on that price spike, baby. Testing the high of day once again. Testing that high of day. Come on now. TPET. Testing the high of day. Come on. All right. Gavilan says thoughts on REVB. All right. We'll get to it in just a second. So TPET currently formed another double top at 238 over here. All right. Test needs to break that high of day. TPET testing the high of day, needs to break the double top. There we go. Now let's take a look at REVB. Now, REVB, let's see. All right. So, all right. Let's see here. One second. All right. So, REVB. All right, let's take a look over here. A lot of choppiness, a lot of indecisive wicks going on here. So, a lot of indecisive wicks on this one right here. Right? So due to there being a lot of indecisive wicks, that tells me there's not a lot of volume going on. It's going up above the VWAP, down below the VWAP, up above, down below, etc., 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 etc. The point that the stock itself is very, very volatile, very, very choppy with its price action. It doesn't seem like a stock I personally would trust. You look at the float. Float is actually reasonable at 5 million, but the volume is 5,000. So it's very, very low in terms of volume. There's a lot of supply, not a lot of demand. You know what I mean? And it did have some news that came out on February 26th, but that was February 26th, and that was a while ago. So no real news. Volume is not as high as the float, and it's very, very choppy. So as of now, not a stock I would potentially trust. For me, very low volume stock, very choppy. REVB, very choppy stock. Needs more volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Very choppy stock needs a lot of volume for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. But ladies and gentlemen, that's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. Hold on 1 second right there. 1 second, 1 second. All right, so that's pretty much it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different, And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Gavelen wants me to check out LGHL before we leave. Let's take a look. We'll take a look at it real quick. LGHL. Again, very choppy. Very choppy. A lot of chop going on right here. Boom. A lot of chop going on right here. Right here. Right here. A lot of indecisive wicks right here. Not a lot of volume going on over here. So as of now, LGHL is another stock that basically it needs a lot of volume because it is very choppy. LGHL, choppy, and needs volume to become somewhat schmexy to mya. There we go. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there. So, yes. Hold on. Boom. Right there. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And of course, if you want access to our private Discord, the link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen. We do. All right. And of course, ladies and gents, all right, if you've been watching and you're serious about small caps, again, don't sit outside trying to piece it all together. All right. We got a 4-day full access pass for $9.99. All right. And like I said before, it's full access. So you come inside, you get to see how we operate. You get to see what we do. You get to see the magic happen live. All right. You get to see how we structure our trade ideas, how we map our levels, how we think about risk, how we handle momentum. You get the next day early watch list and then some. You'll get that 24/7 market news flow, next day early watch list, all that amazing stuff right there. You'll get access to the pre-market regular hours and after hours scanners, which are shown, one of which is shown right over here on the left side of the screen right here. It shows the ticker, price, volume, float, change in percentage, whether the stock has gone up or down, the time in which it was scanned, etc. Hyperlinks to each and every one of these stocks so you can get more information on these stocks right at the tip of your fingers. All right. Not to mention the fact that, like I said before, you get that news flow as well, which is right on the right side of the screen right here. You get access to all these amazing articles, all of which have all sorts of hyperlinks to the full article, a synopsis of what's going on within the article, as well as the ticker that is affected by the news with insider article that also has a hyperlink so you can learn more about the ticker right there. Not to mention the fact that you get float, volume, catalyst, context built right in, etc. You get access to our ticker tape built to catch stocks when they're starting to heat up before they go parabolic. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this ain't noise. This is structure right here. All right, so if that's how you want to approach this market, grab the 4-day pass and come see it live, ladies and gentlemen. All right, link is in the description, pinned in the comments as well. And if you want access to the Wealth Builder package, which gives you access to a Wealth Builder exclusive chat, you get access to Wealth Builder's exclusive content, like, for example, our 500 plus video course on how we trade and what helps work for us. And to top it off, you get access to Wealth Builder's exclusive content, such as behind the scenes content, scripts, etc., things like that. And to top it off, a direct line to Coach Nick Money and myself right there, ladies and gentlemen, right there, and exclusive Wealth Builders picks to top it off. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, link is in the description in the pinned comments section down below, so be sure to check it out. And when you come in, let us know that you saw us on stream, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got to say right there. So, much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's Double Nicks. I love you guys. Gavillain said thank you, brother. Have a good weekend. You too, man. You too. Take care of yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Have a wonderful day. It's Double Nicks. I love you guys. All right. And I'm here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Sometimes she likes to jet ski. Sometimes she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets shot out the cannon and she goes, wee! Other times she likes to go to RBs and watch videos of puppies and kitties. And to top it off, you throw her in the stock market, she will find them A, B, C, D. She did call some wonderful stocks like TPET, PRSO, and CRE, as well as IBG and TURB. We call her DVM Moms. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, be sure to check us out on our YouTube at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, ladies and gentlemen. Share, share, share. Because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen, helps us keep this stuff going on for you. You know what I mean? Helps us keep it going on. Helps keep the stream alive and all that wonderful stuff right there. You can find us on our X.com, a.k.a. Twitter, at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
Where we do lots of live streaming, stock reviews, and stock analysis as well. You can find us on our Twitch, at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money, where we do lots of live streaming, and you can find us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money, and you can find us on our TikTok, Tiki-Taki, a.k.a. the Tac Tac. The Tac Tac. You can find us there at DBL Nicks. At DBL NICKS, and the screen name is Coach Nick Money. So we got that going on. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to stay tuned for another episode of Power Plays coming right at you at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hosted by the legend himself, Coach Nick Money, as he traverses the stock market prior to Power Hour, ladies and gentlemen. Power Hour, all right? So prior to Power Hour, you get to witness the Coach Meister General himself traverse the stocks, give his honest analysis, let the stock simmer on high heat, lets him simmer on high heat, and then to top it off, ladies and gentlemen, he basically, gets some dubs for the community. Get some dubs for the community in Fortnite, and then after that, he goes back to look at the stocks, gives his honest opinion, and is back to the dubs. You know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Much love. Take care of yourselves. Make sure to check us out at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be live on YouTube, X, and Twitch at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money. So be sure to check that out, ladies and gentlemen. Much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. If we don't see you there, have a wonderful weekend. Much love. Check out that 4-day trial because, hey, look. Hey, I'm just saying. A lot of stuff for a good 4-day trial. And